If you've been listening through this gratitude series, you already know this isn't about being polite. It's not about saying thank you more often, and it's definitely not about pretending life is easier than it is. In this final episode, we're going to look at how gratitude doesn't just influence moments, it shapes your personal identity. And before we're done, I'll invite you into a simple but powerful 7-day challenge, something tangible you can actually do to help you carry this work forward beyond the series. If you find this work meaningful, I invite you to like and subscribe. A simple click helps move this information forward and allows it to reach more people. This is a Karen Schaal Podcast. I'm Karen Schaal. Let's get started. Before we go into the science, I want to slow us down for a moment and look at gratitude. Gratitude is one of those words that gets used so often, it can lose its weight. It shows up in self-help books, wellness posts, and casual advice. And sometimes it's framed as something you should feel, which can make people skeptical or even resistant. So let's be clear about what we're talking about here. Gratitude is not about pretending life is easier than it is. It is not about ignoring pain, difficulty, or loss. And it is not about forcing positivity. At its most basic level, gratitude is about recognizing what is already present, the people, the moments, and the small details that give life meaning. It's a shift in attention from what's missing to what's here, from what we lack to what we have. This way of understanding gratitude isn't new. Every culture and spiritual tradition has some expression of it through prayer, ritual, reflection, journaling, or simply saying thank you. Across time and place, gratitude has been understood as something that forms a person. What you practice, you become. Think about it. Every time we reflect on what we're grateful for, we're not just listing nice things. We're telling a story about our lives. We're identifying what matters, what we value, and who has influenced us. In that way, gratitude becomes a mirror, showing us who we are, and just as importantly, who we want to be. Over time, these small moments of thankfulness add up. They influence our beliefs, our behaviors, our relationships. They become a part of our identity, not just as someone who feels grateful, but as someone who is grateful. And research shows that this kind of identity, a gratitude-based identity, is tied to things like stronger self-esteem, better coping skills, and a greater sense of purpose. In other words, gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion, it's a developmental process. It's one of the ways we build a coherent, values-driven sense of self. Especially in times of uncertainty or transition, gratitude can act as a compass, helping us stay grounded in who we are and connected to the people and experiences that give our lives meaning. So when we talk about living with gratitude, we're also talking about identity, about becoming the kind of person who sees goodness even in difficulty, who remembers where they came from, and who is actively shaping their story not just by what they go through, but by how they choose to see everything around them. What's important here is this. You don't have to believe in gratitude for it to have an effect. Identity is shaped whether we're intentional about it or not. Our minds rehearse certain stories automatically. Our attention returns to familiar patterns. Our self-talk becomes a habit. Gratitude simply offers a different pattern to practice. And what modern psychology and neuroscience now allow us to see is how that practice actually changes the brain. How repeated attention to goodness reshapes default thinking, emotional regulation, and the way we understand ourselves over time. So now that we've framed gratitude a little bit, not as a suggestion, but as a formative process, let's turn to the science and look at what's really happening beneath the surface. When psychologists study gratitude, they don't look at it as a passing emotion. They study it as a trait, a habit, and even a framework through which people make sense of themselves and the world. Research in developmental and positive psychology show that gratitude plays a very important part in periods of transition, the times when people find themselves asking questions like, who am I? And what really matters to me? These questions show up in adolescence and early adulthood, but they also resurface during major life changes, losses, and moments of reorientation throughout adulthood. What researchers consistently find is that gratitude helps anchor a person's sense of self in meaningful relationships and lived experiences rather than in comparison, insecurity, or external validation. Instead of identity being shaped by how someone measures up, gratitude shifts the focus towards values, connection, and personal meaning. In studies of late adolescence, gratitude has been strongly linked to self-esteem, hope, and emotional adjustment, all of which are foundational elements of a healthy, stable identity. When gratitude is present, people are more likely to see themselves as worthy and capable, even when life feels uncertain. Other research looking at gratitude through the lens of character development shows that repeated gratitude practices gradually become internalized as part of a person's value system. Over time, qualities like humility, purpose, and a sense of belonging begin to feel less like goals someone is striving for and more like natural expressions of who they are. Gratitude also plays an important cognitive role. Reviews of gratitude-based interventions show that gratitude encourages self-reflection and value alignment. In simple terms, it helps people slow down. It helps people to notice what matters to them and bring their actions into closer alignment with those values. That alignment is essential for a coherent sense of identity. When who you are, what you value, and how you live begin to line up, people tend to feel more grounded and more whole. I think we can all identify with that. This shows up clearly in high-pressure environments as well. Research with university students has found that those who practice gratitude regularly reported greater clarity about who they were and a stronger sense of purpose, even under significant stress. Gratitude did not remove the pressure, but it changed how people related to it. Instead of stress defining them, their values did. Gratitude becomes especially important during hardship and transition. In studies of individuals facing illness, loss, or major life disruptions, gratitude supported resilience and helped people integrate difficult experiences into a coherent life story, rather than allowing those experiences to fragment their sense of self. From a broader philosophical perspective, gratitude has also been described as a form of self-cultivation, a way of shaping the person one is becoming, not through comparison or perfection, but through intentional attention to what is meaningful. Across many different populations, including those who have experienced instability or early adversity, gratitude consistently appears as a protective strength associated with greater psychological resilience and a more stable sense of identity. Taken together, this research points to something important. Gratitude is not simply a pleasant emotion or a coping strategy. It is an active process that reinforces values, shapes self-understanding, and gradually influences the kind of person someone grows into over time. Before we close this gratitude series, I want to invite you into a 7-day gratitude practice. It's a way to experience firsthand what we've been talking about in this episode. Each day, you'll reflect on one simple prompt. One sentence is enough. Honesty matters more than eloquence. Let me walk you through it. On the first day, you'll reflect on something in your life right now that supports you. Even if you usually overlook it, this might be something ordinary. Your body carrying you through the day, a routine that gives structure, a place where you can rest, something that supports you through the day. This first day matters because what you notice repeatedly becomes your baseline for how you experience life. On the second day, you'll reflect on something you're grateful for that reveals something you deeply value. Maybe it's an honest conversation that points to how much you value authenticity, or time to help someone that reflects generosity, or learning something new that shows growth matters to you. Gratitude often reveals values more clearly than goals do. On the third day, you'll think about someone who has shaped you in some way, directly or indirectly, and what quality they helped grow in you. This might be a teacher who encouraged curiosity, a friend who modeled patience, or even someone who showed you what you don't want to become. Identity is formed in relationships. On the fourth day, you'll gently explore gratitude in the context of difficulty. You'll reflect on something a challenge has taught you about yourself that you can now acknowledge with gratitude. Not because the experience was easy, but because it revealed strength, resilience, or clarity you did not know you had. This day is about meaning, not minimizing pain. On the fifth day, you'll complete one simple sentence. I am grateful that I am becoming someone who pauses instead of reacting, someone who notices a good more easily, or maybe someone who treats themselves with more kindness. This is where gratitude and identity meet directly. On the sixth day, you'll notice how gratitude has shifted the way you speak to yourself, even slightly. Maybe you're less harsh when you make mistakes. Maybe you acknowledge effort instead of only outcomes. Self-talk becomes self-belief over time, and gratitude softens that inner voice. And on the seventh day, you'll look ahead. You'll reflect on how you want gratitude to continue shaping who you are becoming after this week. Not as pressure, but as intention. This is what helps gratitude move from a one-week practice into something you carry with you. This challenge isn't meant to change your life in 7 days. It's meant to show you how change begins through attention, through repetition, through small moments that quietly shape who you become. Gratitude is not something you finish. It's something you practice your way into becoming. Before we close, if this episode or this gratitude series has been meaningful to you, again, I invite you to share it with someone who might need it. You can also like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. Those simple actions truly help this work reach more people. And with that, we come to the close of this gratitude series. My hope is that what you've heard here hasn't just given you information, but perspective. Not a checklist, but a different way of seeing yourself and your life. Gratitude practiced consistently becomes more than an emotion. It becomes a way of orientating yourself toward what matters, especially when life is uncertain. This is the Karen Schaal Podcast. I'm Karen Schaal. Until next time, let's be our very best. Let's be grateful. Bye-bye.